super props to Mike, because you've been a Bitcoin bull for a while, very solidly with your point. How much more upside in the short term, though, is there?
Short term, 20,000 is pretty good resistance. I'm afraid it's probably going to do what gold did. It got to 2,000, and then that's been consolidating in the bull market since. But the key thing about Bitcoin this year is it's very simple. It just added a 1 to the front of the number. Remember, it was around 7,000 at the end of last year? What I'm worried about, if you look at the past performance, which is potentially indicative of the future, next year or two, it could add a 0 to the back of the number.
Whoa.
Okay, so those are some pretty big numbers. Why have we moved on from this just being, and I'm going to get emails, I suspect, about this, the greater fool theory? I'm still trying to wonder what problem Bitcoin solves.
Bitcoin is becoming a digital version of gold, Guy. One key point that's happening this year is Bitcoin volatility has been declining. In fact, it's the lowest ever versus gold. It's lower than 180-day volatility on Bitcoin versus the NASDAQ. It's actually below that in NASDAQ. So every other risk asset on the planet, volatility has been increasing. Bitcoin's been declining. And what's happening with QE, we all know there's limited supply of Bitcoin, and it's becoming, before it was institutional form, it was retail form, and now it's becoming institutional form, a limited supply. And demand's picking up, and the macro is very positive.
So what does it move with? So gold usually has an inverse correlation with the dollar, for example. What does Bitcoin actually move with?
Demand. And that's the key thing. Well, it's so highly correlated to the gold.
Equities, risk on, dollar.
Well, it has been this year most highly correlated to gold. Before it was the equities. That's kind of transitioning. The NASDAQ couldn't get above 12,000. Bitcoin's breaking out. But going forward, it's honestly, I say that sarcastically, but it's true. All that matters is demand, because supply is limited. There's only going to be 21 million. Next year, supply is going to drop below 2% annually. And by the time we get to 2024, the next halving, it's going to be 1%.